Welcome to the Sportswire Spotlight. I'm Will Kaderli. Joining me, as always, Dylan Garner. And this week we are at Varina High School.
Nice to be here on a nice fall afternoon. It finally feels like fall after so long.
Yep, got my lawn aerated the other day, and it's that time of year where you cover football and you go out at night, and all of a sudden you got to wear a little bit of extra clothing. You got
a big sweatshirt.
Yeah,
sweatshirt season.
I had my first jacket game on Friday night, which, by the way, was a thriller. If you have not seen the latest Sportswire, check it out. The Glen Allen Hermitage game was absolutely fantastic. Went down to a last-second field goal. Glen Allen gets the win. Hermitage misses that field goal. Hotly contested game. Two teams with the same talent. But everything you want in a football game, you want that high-stakes drama at the end of the game, and you had that. With that win, Glen Allen's now in fourth place. I mean, now these standings are starting to matter because there's only 3 games left for everybody. And Glen Allen's in fourth place. Highland Springs is at number 2. They take care of business against Potomac. And that's just in Class 6. For what that loss did to Hermitage was they moved down to number 3 in Class 5, but they're still close to first. And speaking of Varina, they'll be playing Varina soon, and they've got a big game with Highland Springs as well. So a lot of these teams jockeying for position kind of control their own destiny a little bit.
In a big season, I think, for a lot of these teams, especially Glen Allen, I think we mentioned in one of our first episodes that they were kind of a surprise team, and they've just kind of maintained that, right?
Yeah, it's been amazing because they have a lot of very talented athletes. And when you talk preseason, I talked to Coach Perry Jones. He was talking about how, and you hear this from all the coaches, like, oh, well, we're very talented, but we're very young, which usually is code for we're not very good because we're very young and we don't have a ton of depth. But no, he really meant it. Okay, we are very young, but we really are very talented. Same thing with Hermitage. They're almost mirror images of each other. And the fact that Glen Allen graduated over 20 seniors last year and haven't really skipped a beat is saying something, especially moving to Class 6.
Yeah, and when you have that talent and it happens to click, via coaching or just guys working out enough, and working on their plays enough, it can come together with a really cool season. And I think that's what we're seeing from a couple teams. Yeah,
so it's heating up. Playoff football is so close. It feels like we started the season like last week, but that's not the case. Volleyball, obviously all these sports, volleyball, field hockey, football, they're all moving towards the postseason. I was at a big one. It's always a big matchup when Glen Allen plays Deep Run because I think – if memory serves, and I should have written this down, but I think 6 or 7 of the last years, one of those two teams has been the state champion.
Yeah,
Glen Allen's won it like 3 in a row, and before that it was Deep Run, and Wildcats get the season sweep, and guys volleyball against Glen Allen, and that hadn't happened in many years, and those two teams will be battling again this time. Just I was going to say
both moved to Class 6. I think it's safe to say that the championship will go through them one way or another, whether they're competing against each other in the same states at some point.
And the weird thing about it is they kind of, in guys volleyball, they don't do this in any other sport, but in boys volleyball, they combine 5 and 6.
Oh, right.
So when 5 and 6 would go into the playoffs, like for instance, Deep Run would have to beat Thomas Dale, or Glen Allen would have to beat Thomas Dale, who's been in 6 for a while. So that's one of the unique facets. Girls volleyball, and we're going to get to that in a little bit as to why we're here, but girls volleyball, same thing. Deep Run gets a huge win. They actually get payback this time against Godwin. Now, Godwin is in 5, and they are in one of the front seats for the playoffs, but they're going to be a tough outcome playoff. So Godwin, no worries for them. Deep Run, big win. They only have a few losses on the year. And they just keep getting better and better. So the home of the Wildcats is working out well for them on the court. But the reason we're here at Varina High School, we're going to talk to a very talented, very gifted young student athlete, outside hitter here at Varina for the girls team. They're having one of the best seasons they've ever had. And a head coach, and some may call her a head chef.
Yes, chef.
So Ayonna Harding, the outside hitter, and Vicky Ferris, she's the head coach of the girls volleyball team. But you're going to find out she does a whole lot more than just that. So let's delve right into this. Joining us are 2 guests, Ayonna Harding, outside hitter for girls volleyball here at Varina High School, and of course, the head coach, Vicky Ferris. We really appreciate you guys being on the Sportswire Spotlight.
Thank you for inviting us.
You got it. Anytime. I want to start with this. You know, we've covered a lot of sports, but here at Varina, when I saw you guys playing at Highland Springs, that was a great environment. Number one, people think rivalries; they think Highland Springs, Varina on the gridiron in football. But in volleyball, you guys got something going. And the first thing I noticed was, who is that girl with that serve? And Ayonna, I got to ask, what got you into volleyball, and how did you develop that serve? Because it looked really good, and when you guys were really, really going with that serve.
Well, during the COVID year, I started watching volleyball on YouTube, and I was like, maybe I want to play in high school. So I tried to do it, but our coach didn't let us since it was COVID, and the season was already in, so I had to wait till next season. That's what got me.
So how do you take something that from YouTube and adapt it? Like, how does that function? How does that work? Did you start practicing like with a ball in your backyard, or like how did that start?
I started in my backyard. I just started passing with my brother and my father. We just started playing.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And Coach, you know, if you want to talk about your background with the volleyball team, obviously you have a lot that we're going to get into. You are multifaceted to say the least. But if you want to talk about your history of the volleyball team and kind of maybe with Ayonna as well, and how this year has gone.
Well, I've known Ayonna since she was a baby, before she came into middle school, and I taught her sisters that are older than her, so I've known her for a very long time. I started in volleyball because they didn't have a coach. And here at Varina, I usually, any girl sports that needed a coach, I've learned. So I learned on YouTube also.
Wow.
I did play volleyball in high school, but, you know, that was 20 years ago.
Right.
So I had to learn a lot to the new times with these girls. And this is my third season. And I had the JV at first, and I did that for a year, then came into varsity. And basketball was my first. I've been doing basketball for years, but I've given basketball up and moved over to volleyball.
I'm going to say, learning on the fly, both coach and student athlete here using YouTube. You guys have learned pretty well to the tune of a record of 7-10. That's been one of your best records in a long time, and
yes.
you're in the picture.
We're in 10th place right now. Yeah, we're the first time going to regionals in a long time, so awesome. We're super excited.
How did the team look from, say, day one, early preseason practice, to where you guys are now?
Well, I knew I had a strong team coming in because they were my JV girls that I've had, but I took our post game a little higher. We went to life skills at St. Paul's Church, and I got their mental state together. I've been doing a lot of research on sports and mental states, and I wanted my girls to be mentally strong for whatever we may see in our season. So we did 6 weeks life skills at St. Paul's, and then we had weightlifting and conditioning, and for the first time we went to JMU volleyball camp.
Wow.
And I took 18 girls to volleyball camp, and it was amazing, and we learned so much from the JMU coaches and the players. The girls were excited to be in a different environment, and from there I said, this isn't the team that's going to take us further than what we've been in the past, and we've been working hard since.
Absolutely. Ayonna, what is that like, seeing players at the next level playing a sport that you love?
I don't know. It just seemed like somewhere that I can be one day. That's all.
Do you see yourself in the
Yes,
future?
I see myself in the future playing volleyball. Hopefully I can.
Awesome.
And, you know, your coach mentioned those like life skills and kind of mental things that, you know, y'all worked on. Can you kind of describe, if you look at yourself maybe last year compared to this year, what are those things that either maybe on the court or as a leader, you know, in practice or whatever, what are those things that you think you've learned, like the mental side of that sport?
Well, my confidence really got higher because last year my confidence wasn't really good, but this year it's grown.
Was there a defining moment, or did it just like develop over time, or was there all of a sudden?
It developed during my club season when I started playing more and playing like around people that like actually wanted to play. That's what happened.
Well, I asked Coach this question. When did you see yourself, well, you said club level, your confidence went up, but when did you see yourself and your team starting to evolve this year, because you guys are playing really competitive now?
Oh, yeah. After the JMU camp, the practice after, everybody started hustling and going for the ball and everything.
And doing their own workouts outside of practice.
Self-motivation, yeah, to be good.
It really
yeah.
motivated them a lot to see the college life.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I know I interviewed those coaches when I was a student there a while back, and I know that whole unit is great. And I know it's a really successful program, right? And when you see that kind of success with your own eyes, especially one that's older, right, in the college ranks, D1, it's got to be just, you pick as much information as you can from those kinds of people, and it's got to be really, really valuable.
Ayonna, I know you have to be a leader on the team as well. So how do you keep your team in check? Because we go through moments where we have really high highs, really low lows, but sometimes there's adversity. And volleyball is one of those sports where momentum changers can make or break winning.
Well, when I see like people making mistakes back to back, I tell them that they can just breathe, just take a moment, just wait. It's 1 point at a time, and I just tell them that it's okay. Like, it's the volleyball, it's a game of mistakes.
I need your help with that, with the mental stuff.
Yeah.
See, I think you end up learning more from the students that we talk to than they end up learning from anything that we had to say.
So far, we've been doing this. Yeah, I do. I pick up something and I learn something along the way.
Well, Ayonna also takes the younger girls, and her parents bought her a court in her backyard, and she does stuff on her own with them to help them, the ones that wanted to learn, and she takes that time. That's why she's one of my leaders on the team as a captain, because she knows how to not just say it, also show them. So that's been a big help for the younger girls, helping them in that way.
I think COVID was a weird, obviously it was a weird time for all of us. But one thing that was a great uniter was it made us all bored.
Yes.
We all wanted to do something new because we were just bored. Is that kind of how it happened with you? You're like, I've got a volleyball, let's build a net.
Well, I didn't have a volleyball COVID year. Well, I watched YouTube, then I got it that season coming up. Well, it still wasn't COVID, though.
Got it.
We just get your 10th grade year.
Yeah,
She's
my
just
10th grade
learned
year.
her 10th grade year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quick developer. And you've told me off camera, and Ayonna, I don't know if you know, but you've been trying to get some colleges to notice how good she is on the court.
Yes. Yes. She really wants to go. Tell her where you want to go.
To state or union.
Yes.
Well, I do have state coaches coming to see me for the Holly Springs game. That's home on the 24th or the 25th.
Payback time, right?
Tuesday. Yeah.
What's the difference between the two teams, Varina, Highland Springs? What do you think is your best attribute, the best way to beat Highland Springs? Because you guys were very competitive. When I was there, it was like between 3 points every different set.
Well, I think it's all in the energy on the court, and the energy in the crowd, and how we play. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys bring the energy, or hopefully I know you'll bring the energy. I'm hoping
Yes.
the crowd brings the energy.
The crowd and us, we will bring that.
I was about to say, I don't think that's much of a question.
Well, it's
And
weird
around
because
here, they always do.
Yeah, the weird thing is when I was at Highland, now this was granted it was a Highland Springs game, but you brought fans too.
Mm-hmm.
There was more energy in that game than there was energy in two potential state champions and a defending state champion guys volleyball that I was at the other night. It was Glen Allen and Deep Run, and I'm like, I was at Highland Springs Varina girls, and they were loud. Like,
Yeah.
it makes you want to be there too. When you got a camera, I'm not gonna lie, you cover a sport every day or every other day or whatever it might be. You want some energy because that gets you going.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with Highland Springs, me and the coach there, we're partnering up trying to get our girls to come together and work out in the spring and do different things also with Henrico. I just think for the East End side, we're trying to get it in our area because
Right.
it's not in our area as much as it is in other areas.
Sure, West End is more of a volleyball area, and the East End is
And
not.
we've been developing different things with the rec centers here that's giving us time to do Saturdays. So I'm hoping this summer we're going to come together, all of three of us going to come together with our girls and do something amazing.
And Coach, we wanted to touch upon kind of the other things you do here, the many other things, as I mentioned before. You're wearing kind of your apron here. Can you give us an idea? You are kind of the, culinary arts expert, if you want to call it that, whatever title you want to use. And it's kind of what kind of ties together two of our, our other two guests here is that they're in your class to, this cooking class and, culinary arts class. Can you kind of describe your history as a teacher in that and your passion in that as it relates to the school?
Well, when one of our teachers retired, and I became the culinary teacher, and I wanted to build it the way that I wanted to build it. So I revamped the whole thing. I wanted my kids to get the opportunity to have certifications when they leave high school and go into the workforce ready and compete with other people in the Richmond area.
Absolutely.
So it's got off the ground, and I just thought about different things that can help my community. And the biggest thing was in the Varina community, our sports teams.
Speaking of sports teams, football as well, and that's
Yes,
why Linwood's
football.
here, because you not only got, and I not to cut you off, but you not only got into teaching culinary arts. I mean, I remember doing it. It was like how to not burn a pancake, but you're feeding teams.
Yes.
And that brings up football. Linwood, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being part of the Sportswire Spotlight.
Thank you.
Being in Vicky, you're not only the quarterback. Those are big shoes to fill, and we'll get to that, but you got to eat, right? Man, you got to eat before the game. So you're learning how to cook, but you're also eating beforehand what in terms of what she's serving. So what's your favorite meal from Ferris here?
I think one of my favorite meals is the chicken Alfredo.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that's on our menu tonight, actually, at home.
I think I need to add it to my menu.
They're actually eating it today. They called me to make them
Nice.
some chicken Alfredo for this big game coming up on Friday.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to, because it's not like Varina has a small football program, and it's not like they eat small portions. So you got a big program, and you got big portions. So go through a game day scenario for me. You got to feed the football team. How much food are we talking?
We go about maybe 10 to 12 pounds of chicken.
Wow.
Yeah, and noodles, yes. I just got a person in the community that started donating noodles to us because we have we eat a lot of noodles. But
Got to get the carbs.
it's big. My truck, I have no children, and my truck has 3-seater, and it's filled every day for game day to the top. And it costs, I get there, and the community food line down here on Route 5. I have so many savings and deals,
I bet.
and we save so much money there, and everyone there just helps feed them.
Right.
So we get a lot of free stuff. We had apples. They gave us over 100 bags of apples, and they made apple butter, and they ate apples. Every sports team ate apples this season.
That's
for
amazing.
every game.
It's awesome to have outside help, too, and have
Yeah.
a partnership.
Yes, it's great to have that, because sometimes, money can be tight everywhere. So I do a lot of couponing.
So one could argue that you are, behind the scenes, you are actually the recipe for success for Varina football and other sports as well.
Oh, I try to be behind the scenes, but yes. For me, my students are everything. I'll do anything for my students to make sure they're okay and they will thrive in whatever they're doing.
Well, I do want to bring that up, though. Just a quick question, Linwood. Like, how important is the pregame meal?
I feel like it's very important. Sometimes it has been games that I haven't ate, and I just felt like my energy was low, just didn't feel right.
And then Vicky shows up.
Saves the day. And Linwood, can you give us an idea? What is being in her? Obviously you guys, have this relationship with your teachers and coaches and stuff. But what's it also like being in her class and having that relationship with her to the football team, but also you're learning from her, throughout the week. What is that class like? Because it's a very interesting thing to learn when you're 16, 17 years old.
I feel like it's very important to it helps me know what to eat on game days, helps me know what I should eat. It helps me know how to cook. She teaches me life skills with cleaning, anything.
What can you cook for Dylan and I right now?
I was going to say, we're going to put
Anything.
Anything, really.
What would you want to cook? What's your specialty?
Shrimp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he made
Anything
he made
shrimp.
us shrimp. He made us shrimp wraps for lunch yesterday. He was hungry and got into my.
I like the Cajun shrimp. Like with andouille sausage.
He's also a leader in the class.
Really?
He's are you a sous chef?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's a sous chef in the class,
Yes, chef.
and he leads a team. So it kind of carries over
I was going to say.
to what he does on the field. So he has responsibilities in the classroom with emailing our clients, people that we cook for in the Henrico County, and making sure the kitchen is cleaned and everyone is dressed appropriately. He has
People may not realize that too, but if you have a job in the hospitality business and you're a cook, front cook or back line cook, when you're in the weeds, that's hard. That's hard work, like for real. So not only are you cooking it in the classroom, but you've been cooking on the field as well at quarterback.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience so far. You guys have been terrific. Just one loss, and that was to last year's state champion at Class 6 against Freedom. How have you guys developed your game as this season's gone on, especially after that loss? Because it feels like you haven't skipped a beat.
We keep working every day. I try to get them stop playing at practice and stuff. And really our biggest problem right now is playing 4 quarters. We haven't played 4 quarters of Varina football yet.
I remember being at the Henrico game, and it was like 0-0 after 1. You guys scored 28 in the second. Final was 28-0.
Yeah, we haven't. That's really our biggest problem. I feel like if we would have played 4 quarters against Freedom, I feel like we would be undefeated right now.
Yeah, you smoked them in the second half.
Yeah.
It was like, well, where were we in the first half? Where were the carbs? I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming Coach Ferris. Yeah,
We need more pasta.
yeah,
actually.
more pasta at halftime probably helped.
Donate
boost
more
you.
noodles, please.
Seriously though, can be mentally challenging, like up here, and it just taking over that spot at quarterback, especially when you're taking over for a guy who won a state championship in Miles Derricott. How have you been able to handle that? Because when I'm at the game and when I see highlights, it looks like you haven't skipped a beat at that position.
I learn from the best. Like I learned from Miles. Me and Miles still talk to this day. Miles tells me what I need to work on, what I'm doing good, what I'm doing wrong, and just my coaches. I feel like I have some good coaches. They helping me.
And Vicky, from your perspective, I feel like along with all these other things, you're kind of a head cheerleader for all these kids, right?
She's at all the games.
You support these kids, in so many ways. You obviously coached plenty of them, you taught plenty of them, and you're there, at the games. Like, what is your perspective on supporting the football team and being there and being part of that? When I have friends and people that I know that have been through Varina a long time ago or recently or whatever, and it's just. It's one of the best cultures of student support and community support that I know of. What's it like being a part of that, and why do you take that on, and why do you think it's important to kind of support the football team and these other kids that you might teach during the day, be there at their games at night?
Well, it's my legacy, actually. My name is all I have to really go off, and I want to leave everything I can with them. I want them to carry me with them wherever they go. And every meal I cook brings them together as a family, and family is something that I preach a lot. And I want them to remember that wherever they are, they have someone somewhere that's going to help them when they're down, when they're up. I need my kids to know that family is big, and you feed the soul. I feed the soul, and that's what I'm doing for my kids, is make sure they get a home-cooked meal at any cost at some point in their Varina career. I make sure that happens. So it's really my legacy. I don't have anything else to leave behind but something for Varina.
What does that do for you, Linwood, when you hear something like that? Like, what's your relationship like with Miss Ferris, the fact that she's helping you out, feeding you, and she's not just doing it because she can and she has the aptitude. She's doing it out of love and community.
It really means a lot to me. Me and Miss Ferris' relationship is like really tight. It got tighter from last year to this year. So it really means a lot to me that I have somebody that cares about me.
Well, we'll see. We're gonna
And keep in line, I don't play that either. I don't play no disrespect at all.
Yeah.
Well, your cooking prowess is gonna be put to the test though, because you're gonna have Tuesday. You have Friday, then Tuesday against Hermitage, and then Saturday against Highland Springs. We'll close with that, Linwood. Final question: how are you guys preparing? Because it's a little bit different. You're almost like getting ready for 3 teams, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's really tough. Just trying to find a way to be able to recover and everything in between those next couple of games.
So practices that means you're going to need some more food. Ms. Ferris,
Rush
coming
delivery.
week. We really appreciate you guys being part of the Sportswire Spotlight. A big shout out as well to Ayonna Harding. Continued success in volleyball. Hope you guys make it to playoffs, make it to regionals.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Hope the great cooking continues. And now I'm hungry leaving this show. And good luck against Atlee. And then you got Hermitage, you got Highland Springs. So
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining the
You're
Sportswire
welcome.
Spotlight.
Well, that was a really awesome conversation. Honestly, I'm kind of hungry now. I think we should have asked Coach Ayers to bring some food.
Well, this is one of those. Normally, I eat before I come, and this is one of the ones where I actually skipped, and I was like, that was a mistake.
Yeah, Coach Ferris. I mean, she was such a great interview, and the student athletes. I mean, you can see how much they work with her. You know, how much they embrace her. You know, dedication to what they do, her support for them, and like it's shown on the field and the court, right? Ayonna's leading this kind of upstart, really, like they're having a really good season based on what they've done recently. And, Varina football goes without saying, I think, at this point, how talented they are.
Well, there's so many layers to the onion to unpack here, and I can't go too far into it. But, I mean, just looking back at that, so there's COVID, a young lady wants to play a new sport, watches on YouTube on how to play it, which is funny because I watched YouTube on how to fix my car if I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars.
It's the way to do it.
But she, and then she gets into the sport. And not only does she get into it, if you haven't gone to a Varina girls game, go. She's really good. She's really, really good. She might start to get some offers sooner rather than later. And then, obviously Linwood Johnson taking over a quarterback, those are tough shoes to fill. Miles Derricott's a state champion from last year, and the fact that they're tight. But it's about the relationships. Yeah. Like we see teachers all the time. We see administrators all the time. And yes, we have a lot of great ones here in Henrico County, without question. I've met them. But when we asked Coach Ferris or, culinary teacher of Ferris about cooking for the kids, it meant a lot to her. I mean, there were tears in her eyes at one point because she wanted to leave. She said, "That's all I got," and that was really touching. Her relationship with her students means that much to her. Is really cool.
Absolutely, and the legacy. I think that's that was the stamp on everything we talked about there. Leaving a legacy in any way you can, and obviously the way she can is her support, her cooking, her coaching.
Yep.
It's just great to hear those people, and it's why we're doing this, right?
Right. And they talk about all on Route 5, all about Route 5 here at Varina. And, you can't eat on Route 5 without Coach Ferris. Also cool to hear that they've got those partnerships with Food Line and some other places. Yeah. So best of luck to Ayonna. Obviously, Coach Ferris, keep doing what you're doing. It's because these kids, they are noticing. It's a big part of their lives. And what Linwood's going to do on the field these next couple of weeks as well for Varina football. And I agree with them. Varina needs to be more consistent and play 4 quarters of football. So do my New York Giants, though, so you're not alone.
I was going to say that
1 quarter would be good.
The Giants could score a touchdown. That would be a nice start for them.
Yeah,
I think
a great way to go.
The 4 quarters thing is something you hear a lot from any level of football, whether you're a Super Bowl champion or a Class 4 champion, right? And it's something that you gotta work on, and that's why the season exists, right? You get that stuff ironed out, and they got 3 games in the next 9 days.
So that was crazy. That's why I was asking Vicky Ferris about you're going to be cooking a lot. When she says 12, 16 pounds of chicken, whatever it was, okay, so how many pounds of chicken is it for this Friday against Atlee, which, by the way, is a big game. They can't take Atlee lightly because Atlee's on the outside looking into the playoffs. They want to win. Varina can't be looking ahead. But I wouldn't blame them because we had those thunderstorms earlier in the year. So the makeup game to play Hermitage is on Tuesday. We might have a rare Sportswire first where we have Hermitage versus Highland Springs highlights in the same show that we have Varina Hermitage highlights. I wouldn't want to be Hermitage and play Varina and Highland Springs.
As hard as it is for Varina, it
4
might
days.
just be as hard as for Hermitage. But it's a fun run regardless for the rest of us.
So get this: Varina plays Atlee, then they play Hermitage, then they play Highland Springs. So that's 3 games: Friday, Tuesday, Saturday. Saturday is the Varina Highland Springs game. By the way, check out your website, school website, for information. But because that you don't want to miss that game, so you want to make sure you got everything in order, including my credentials. I've got to email Harry Lee for myself to even be there. So
This is just a good reminder. When you listen to this tomorrow, this will be, oh, wait, I got to email him.
I know. When I get back to the office today, I'm going to. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we were looking forward to those games. We had kind of some other action we were keeping eyes on. For myself, the cross-country folks out there, the Milestad Invitational was just this past weekend. Berkeley Nance from Mills Godwin had a really good race. I think it was really rainy this year.
It was.
I remember going last year, and it was like, runners wanted a little cool, but it was like maybe like mid 50s, low 60s, like perfect. And then this year is just muddy and cruddy.
The weird thing is runners say they like that. They like the wet weather. I guess it's kind of cools them off. As long as it's not wind.
I was going to say wind is what happens a lot at the state championships, and that's when it's like too cold. But you want that like middle, but like the level of rain they got, I'm sure was a detriment to us. It probably helps them go, but I think the footing gets a little rough. But Berkeley Nance and Mills Godwin, I think, finished top 3, top 5.
When's the last time he didn't have a good race?
Berkeley is such an incredible runner. If you're interested in cross country and track, go wherever he's going, because he is a really fun guy to watch run. And then on the girls' side, the Glen Allen girls have kind of had a couple years now. Glen Allen has such a big program over the last handful of years, but the Glen Allen girls, I think, finished 3rd as a team, led by Ellie Velasquez. And the only 2 teams that beat them, I think, were out of state teams that literally came to the meet because of, hey, this is elite competition. So, like, that's the kind of caliber that Glen Allen is working with and that they're able to kind of keep up with. We might get to talk to a couple people from the Glen Allen program here soon.
Yeah.
A little teaser there, and talk about their season as they that's their kind of big mid-season point, Milestad, and then they'll have kind of this in-season flourish. So hopefully we get to chat with them and check in how that's all going with them.
Absolutely. And in quick note on field hockey, Godwin just continues to win. They got a big one, 3-2 against Glen Allen. Speaking of Glen Allen, they were down 2 goals, scored 3. Last field hockey game where I was, Freeman continues to handle their business. They went on the road against an improved Tucker team. If you haven't seen Tucker play field hockey, their goalie is absolutely sensational. But Freeman gets a win, 6-0 in that one. They're looking good in Class 5. Glen Allen, terrific in Class 6. But I think it's going to be a Godwin versus Freeman in terms of regionals again.
The classic matchup.
Yeah, when it comes to field hockey. So we've got so many sports to cover. We're hitting the home stretch now.
I know.
Playoffs just around the corner, like literally just around the corner. That being said, we really happy that we had Ayonna, Linwood, and of course coach and cook Vicky Ferris. So for Dylan Garner, I'm Will Kaderli. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sportswire Spotlight.